Hi, so my name's Jo Crossland.
And I'm Luke Batchelor.
And today we're going to talk to you about stone carving and this recent project that we were involved with the Rediscovering the Antonine Wall project.
Yeah, so both me and Jo are stone carvers based up in Northumberland. We met at Weymouth College a long time ago whilst we were studying stone conservation. After that we moved up to Scotland and worked as conservators on all buildings, and we were very lucky to get funding. We were funded by Historic Environment Scotland to do craft fellowships, which basically we got paid to train with working craftsmen and women around Scotland. So it was an amazing experience, and today I have my own workshop in Northumberland, and Jo's based across the border in Scotland at Huttonstone, and she works alongside artist Michelle de Bruin.
Yeah, and so this project here is actually the first project that me and Luke have worked together on, which has been really fun. It was commissioned by the West Arm Bartonshire Council, and it's to be installed in Falkirk along the Antonine Wall, which was the most sort of northern Roman frontier before they got defeated and sort of went back to the sort of safety of Hadrian's Wall. And along the wall has been discovered distant stones, which are basically sort of Roman propaganda, where they depict themselves as victorious and strong, and the locals are weak and defeated and barbarians basically. And so the Rediscovering the Antonine Wall project wanted to give a new perspective on what had happened, and that is what we've tried to encapsulate in the stone. We'll talk you through what's going on.
Yeah, so the designs is very similar to the original stones, with the panel in the centre with the text. On the side here on the left, we've got a battle scene. We've got the local Iron Age man, and he's wearing tartan, and he's actually riding a chariot pulled by two horses. And you've got the fallen Roman at the bottom here of the scene, with his sword at his side. And next to them we've got a carnix, which was something which during the research we saw at the National Museum of Scotland, and we thought it had to be involved because it's a great object which they would have used apparently in ceremonies and going into battle.
As a trumpet.
A trumpet which would have had a movable jaw and tongue, and it would have made a sound.
Yeah, it's quite imposing, I think.
But amazing craftsmanship to make this object, and some of the metals weren't actually native to Scotland, and it sort of represents the trading they were having with other cultures.
Yeah, they think they sort of traded with Romans and melted the metal down and made the carnix.
And Jo's side?
Yeah, so on this side we wanted to sort of show a more peaceful side between the two, and we know that they did trade and they did sort of have a relationship with butterfly just through that. And so we've depicted a sort of Iron Age homestead with a sort of iconic rock which you'll see all around Scotland, which the Iron Age communities would have lived in. Surrounded by agriculture, which is sort of symbolised by the wheat and barley here. And then in the foreground we've got a sort of Celtic couple wearing traditional sort of Celtic dress with tartan and a torque, which sort of symbolises high ranking within the community. And they are being presented a pot of silver by a pair of Roman soldiers who aren't in armour on this side, because we wanted to show that more peaceful side between the two. And they've got their sort of Roman shield just by the side of them there. And the pot was actually something that had been discovered in Falkirk, and it was a pot of Roman silver wrapped in tartan, which is actually the earliest sort of piece of tartan that we found so far. So we thought that would be great to include in this scene.
That was really important to be included, because it shows how the Romans didn't defeat them through battle. They had to resort to paying them off basically with silver. And then the feather at the bottom, that originally in our original design had been a dead eagle, but we couldn't why dead eagle? Because that was a symbol of the Roman legion. But yeah, we sort of changed our design, changed the idea, and it became a feather, just more of a nod that they were here and their presence is still sort of seen today. That's something you can see with the letter forms. These are Roman letter forms and they're widely used in our culture today. Yeah, doing the inscription, that was fun because there was a lot of text and we really had to get it in, but it still had to be legible.
Yeah, that's kind of the feel of the other distant stones, sort of cramming in loads of lettering and squishing in sort of the spacing's not quite right, but that's part of the charm.
Yeah, it's the human touch, which a lot of time you don't see with sort of mass-produced lettering in our culture today. It's all typed up on a computer. So normally for letters today, the spaces of the letters are quite uniform, but here we had to cram them. We've nested some letters within other letters and joined some letters together. So you can see here with the H and the E, the V and the E. I quite like it. It just adds a human touch to it.
Yeah, and so it's carved in Copcrag sandstone, which is quarried near Kilda in Northumberland.
Yeah.
Which we thought was great because it's sort of near the border and it's got a really sort of distinct markings to it as well, which I think is really great.
And the original stones would have been painted with red pigment. So it's quite nice seeing this with the red on because it looks like it could be an old stone. It looks like the originals, I think. But yeah, it's new. Did you say about the tools?
No, so we decided not to use any sort of modern machinery while carving this, and we just used sort of very traditional hand tools, which haven't really changed much since the Roman times.
So you've got in my hand here, I've got a little dummy, or big dummy, mallet, and we have the chisels. So it's all hand carved using these. And when we first started, we sort of worked out, we drew the design on, and then we sunk this panel first and did some of the
deeper bits.
we sunk the panels which we knew had to be sunk, and then sort of found the levels of the figures and sort of rounded them off and made them round. And then you sort of work your way down the chisels to the smaller ones to get the finer detail. And that's something I really enjoyed, just adding details like the robes and the folds and
we really tried to leave the chisel marks sort of on the stone, which is something you see on the original stones. When you look up close in the museums, you can see all the little individual marks, and I think that's really lovely, just thinking about kind of the person that did that 2,000 years ago. So I think it's really important that we kept them on.
Yeah, because it could have been quite easy to overwork it. You have to get to a point where you say, no, you have to stop now. Yeah,
which is why using the hand tools has been really good, because it's a slower process, but it gives you more time to think, and it's just a bit more organic and lively, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Really fun. Especially thinking about like when I was at school, like it's being dyslexic. It's I never wanted to be in an office or do anything writing wise. So being able to work with my hands and make something for a living was just great.
Yeah, and so this will be installed in Falkirk sometime in the near future.
Hopefully soon. And hopefully it'll last as long as the original stones.